Hi, I'm Ryan, and I created Nyched. Could you imagine the internet if it was free from gatekeepers? There were no algorithms out there between you and the information that you wanted to see. There was no one moderating whether or not you could post something or not. You could actually interact with ideas and have creativity and nuance in thought and in conversation to come to terms with whatever thing you're trying to work out. Could you imagine if there was no one there to stop you from interacting with your hobbies in the way that you want to interact with? There's nothing there feeding you information that it deemed you wanted to see so that you would stay connected and keep in that scrolling loop and on the platforms forever. That's the world I envision. I envision a world where you're in total control. But in order to do that, we need to bypass the gatekeepers some way. And current platforms don't have a way to do this. They're too entrenched with the idea of having algorithms and gatekeepers that I don't know that they could shift to be organized in that manner. Without gatekeepers and moderators and algorithms, we would be free to discuss what we need to discuss. We could critique our government and, interact with hobbies and interests in the way that we want to, and try new ideas and create new rules for games and get into conversations that are actually deep and meaningful, because when you just have a conversation with someone, it's like, yeah, I agree. It's not that interesting. And those are good relationships to have. I'm not knocking those relationships, but having deep, meaningful conversations is part of what a healthy society has about everything, about every topic. So it's important for us to be in environments where there isn't someone saying, hey, don't say that, don't do that. Imagine if you were sitting at a coffee shop with a friend and there was an employee there saying, you can't say that right now. You can't talk about that. That's not the way you play soccer. That's not the way the real world works, and it shouldn't be the way it works online. It's not ethical. Echo chambers get a bad rap, but the reality of it is everywhere we go, we're in echo chambers. Our family is an echo chamber. Our work and the culture at work, that's an echo chamber. Community organizations, religious organizations, those are all echo chambers, and they're not always a bad thing. When it's extreme, it can be, but even in that situation, it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes those different perspectives are good for society, but an echo chamber that is a bad thing is the algorithmic echo chamber that we're forced into, that we never talk about and we rarely even notice, because we just go along with the flow of whatever's coming across our feed. So we need to break free from that. And the only way to do that, in my mind, is to get rid of the algorithm completely, which is what I did on Nyched, because I don't believe that it's ethical to put a computer program between you and the information that you want to interact with. Sure, there are some things that are illegal that should not be in front of us and across our plates, 100% agree. But apart from a few niche things, I don't believe that we should be impeded by learning and getting information and being able to have conversations about things we want to talk about. This can impact ideological conversations, and it can also impact our hobby and interest conversations. If we're not in control of where our information's coming from and the topics that we want to see, then we're not in control of what we get to do, and we're not in control of what we get to think about. It's being educated by something, this mysterious Wizard of Oz type figure behind the curtain that's called gatekeepers and algorithms, and admins and moderators and those types of things as well. So I don't believe in that. And I believe that's the echo chamber we need to break free from, so that we can control the information and that we can control how we interact with our hobbies and our interests. The choice to not have algorithms and gatekeepers inside of Nyched put me in a unique position where I could put you in control. To me, it's a really cool idea. And that's not just to pat myself on the back, but it's what I was always searching for in platforms. For the longest time, I was waiting and waiting, because I understand technology. I've been coding for a very long time. I know what's possible, and they just didn't do that. They didn't do the thing I thought they were going to do, which was give us more filters and customizations and more of a say. So I've moved on from that. I don't want just more of a say. I don't just want a say. I want total control of my online environment. And it's empowering. If you take a moment to think about that, it's really empowering to think, what if I had total control of my online environment in the same way that I have total control of my real life environment? What would the world look like? I think, and I hope, that people would be empowered by that. I hope that people would want to be online and then want to get in the real world to interact with the ideas and the thoughts and the conversations that they had there. I hope it creates an environment where it connects people who are like-minded and people who maybe aren't like-minded to have real-world conversations and to think about things and to dive deep and to get serious about conversations. When gatekeepers are in the way, it stifles creativity and innovation. And it doesn't say, oh, don't talk about that ever. It says, you can't talk about that here. And when someone says you can't talk about that, that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying, it's not that you can't talk about it, it's that you can't talk about it here. And if those types of barriers weren't in the way, then we would be free to have conversations and discover new paths of thought, and new ideas and innovations and creativity would flourish in a situation where it's not hampered by someone trying to stop us from discovering new things. And I don't think it's an intentional thing that's being done to stop innovation and stop creativity, but it puts us at the mercy of the algorithm. You know, the creativity isn't done from actually having creative thought. It's done all under the umbrella of, what does the algorithm want? What will push my video and my content up in the algorithm? Where when individuals get to choose and decide, it creates an environment that people with creative thoughts and innovative ideas can thrive and also develop those ideas and that creativity and those thoughts because they get unfiltered input from other people and unfiltered ideas and conversations from other people. This video is sponsored by Nyched, and Nyched did something extraordinary. It decided to remove the things that people do not like about platforms and social media. Algorithms, gatekeepers, admins, moderators, things that get in the way of you and the information that you want to interact with, and the topics and the hobbies that you want to have in your life. And instead, it put the responsibility on you, the user and the consumer, to decide how to create the feed that you want to see. You know, with algorithms, you have to take what comes next. With Nyched, you get to choose and decide what is coming across your vision and what has your attention. If any of this piques your interest, please go to resistthealgorithm.com to learn more and consider signing up for the beta. If you can't sign up for the beta this time, I totally understand, but you being here means the world to me. And together, I know that if we continue to have conversations and continue to interact on these topics, we can create a world on the internet that is awesome for everyone and that we have more control. Thank you so much for being here. Keep watching. There's a lot more to come. I think when we have an environment where there aren't gatekeepers, it will create this desire to take what's happening online offline. And when we're interacting with our interests and our hobbies and finding new people locally who are doing the same things, it should spur us to get out and actually do those things. I don't like being a consumer all the time. And when I sit there and think about how I interact with the internet and interact with platforms, it makes me feel like a consumer. No one feels good at the end of a Chinese buffet. Well, if you did it right, you shouldn't feel good. But nobody feels good, right? You're consuming and consuming and consuming, and sometimes you have to stop and go do something. So my hope is that it creates an environment where everyone is a creator. We're all influenced by different people. We're all influenced by different people in our lives, not just people online that we see. And my hope is that we take the reins of that idea and we run with it. And we realize that, hey, somebody looks up to me about something. I influence people, someone somewhere about something. Maybe it's a lot of people. Maybe it's not a lot of people. But my hope is that it creates an environment where it takes whatever we've got expertise in or whatever we're trying to learn about, and it connects us with people who are doing those things out in the real world. Most big problems don't get solved in isolation. When gatekeepers and algorithms are involved, it says, you can do this. But if there's an idea outside of that, it's going to stop us from trying to solve certain issues in the world. So I think being able to have free speech, you can't have gatekeepers and algorithms as well. And that freedom is what allows us to solve big problems in the world. There's a common phrase that people say when they want teams to be innovative, and it's, hey, let's think outside the box. But algorithms and gatekeepers inherently create a box. And if we don't have freedom of conversation, and we don't have freedom of thoughts and freedom to go down certain paths that are typically not allowed to go down, then we aren't able to truly find out what we can accomplish together as society. I think it's very important for us to be able to have conversations and say what we want to say and let the market correct for it. If you're not allowed to go that way, either data and information will correct you, or other people who have been down the path will correct you. You don't need some sort of mechanism in place to completely stop that. Now, along with that, that means that we need to be robust individuals living in a society like that can handle those types of things. But I don't think we should stop saying things because some people might get offended by it. The other thing that's really important for me is for individuals to be able to maintain their privacy and their autonomy. When someone or something is leading you down a path, showing you the information they want to show you, you do not have autonomy. And you don't have privacy either, because they're watching you the whole time to figure out what you like, what you click on, and then they're using that information to show you similar things. So it inherently, when there is an algorithm, it inherently turns into an echo chamber, because whatever worked for you in the past is going to work for you again, and it's going to try and keep showing you those things. With the removal of algorithms and gatekeepers, it gives that autonomy back to us. It gives the ability for us to choose what we see and interact with and create customized feeds that shows exactly what we want to see whenever we want to see it. It is revolutionary to have that in a platform. And that's what Nyched did. I removed the algorithms. I removed the gatekeepers. I removed the admins and the moderators, and I put you in charge, because you are the most important part of what Nyched is. Without you, there is no app. Without you, there is nothing to feed you. So I hope this resonates with people, and I hope it's something that maybe you didn't know you were looking for, but now you found. I intend to be here. Nyched is going to be here for a long time. I'm going to keep trucking with it. And I'm doing it all for you guys. And I'm doing it for me, because I wanted a place like this for a long time online. You cannot have free speech, autonomy, privacy with gatekeepers and algorithms staring over your shoulder all the time, trying to feed you and drive you towards a certain direction, all for the benefit of advertisers. I believe that gatekeepers, when it comes to the flow of information, is unethical. Algorithms and individuals should not be in the way of us having conversations and trying to innovate and trying to be creative. And I think that online, most of the time, we're in those situations and we don't even realize it. We don't even notice it. How many times do we see things that don't pertain to us, that aren't of interest to us and aren't a part of our hobbies? And it's all to bolster their bottom line, typically. It's all to get us to engage for longer and to stay in the applications for longer, so they can get more eyeballs on the advertisements that their true customer, the advertisers, are putting in front of us. It's a big reason why I created Nyched, because I believe in having a space where it's free from that, where you and I are in control. And we get to decide what comes across our feed and what information we interact with and for how long. And that's why I created Nyched. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it's totally within your control. To learn more, go to resistthealgorithm.com. If you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps. If you have an idea on part of what I talked about that you either disagree with or you agree with or you think I missed something, leave a comment below. It's my favorite part of doing this. I get to talk with you guys about these topics. And if you want to see more, please stay tuned, because the next video is coming up right now.